Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Dr. Tuba Hussain and we will discuss the anemia impacting almost 1/4 of the population based on the WHO data. From this huge number of the population impacted by anemia, hope you understand the importance of this discussion. The contents that we will discuss here are introduction, then types of anemia, its epidemiology and etiology, then pathophysiology, after that clinical manifestations and investigation, and at the last we will discuss treatment, prevention and the patient care. First of all, what is anemia? Reduction from the normal of the quantity of hemoglobin in the blood is anemia. According to WHO, anemia in adults has hemoglobin level less than 13 gram per deciliter for males and less than 12 gram per deciliter for females. Now, the types of anemia. Anemia is basically divided into three main types according to the size of the cell, like microcytic anemia and the macrocytic and the normocytic anemia. In microcytic anemia, the size of the cell decreases. In macrocytic anemia, the size of the cell increases. And in normocytic anemia, the size of the cell remains the same. Microcytic anemia may be iron deficiency anemia, sideroblastic anemia, and the anemia of the chronic disease. While the macrocytic anemia may be megaloblastic anemia and the hemolytic anemia. Megaloblastic anemia may be due to the folate deficiency or the vitamin B12 deficiency, and the hemolytic anemia may be autoimmune related thalassemia, glucose 6-phosphate deficiency, and the sickle cell, while the normocytic anemia may be due to the blood loss and the bone marrow disorders. Now we will move towards epidemiology. Anemia is possibly one of the most common conditions in the world and results in the significant morbidity and the mortality, particularly in the developing world due to certain factors, malnutrition and unhygienic environments. It impacts almost 1/4 of the population based on the WHO data from 1993 to 2005, including the pregnant women, infants, elderly patients. Now, anemia may impact females more than the males due to certain factors. Now the question is why the females are impacted more than the males. It may be due to certain factors like menstruation in females and the lack of some hormones present in the males which are helpful in the HB production. Now, here's one thing should be noted, that in males aged more than 60 are impacted same as females due to end of hormones which help them in the HB production and stoppage of the menstruation in the females. Hemoglobin also has some dependence on the patient fluid status. For example, in dehydration due to the reduced circulating plasma volume, HB appears higher, while in circumstances of high plasma volume such as pregnancy and splenomegaly, it will appear lower. Here is a table. You can use it for the diagnosis and the assessment of the severity. Point to be noted is in pregnant female, the HB level should be equal to less than 11 for anemic, while in normal female HB level should be less than the 12 for anemic. Now, etiology. Anemia may be due to increased hemoglobin loss or the reduced hemoglobin synthesis. Increased hemoglobin loss may be due to the hemorrhage, which is red blood cell loss, and the hemolysis, which is red blood cell destruction. And reduced hemoglobin synthesis due to either lack of the nutrients and the bone marrow failure. Here you can see some etiological factors. Now we will move towards the pathophysiology. Pathophysiology of anemia varies with the type of anemia. You can also say pathophysiology as cause of anemia. Some of the pathophysiology of different types may be Like for iron deficiency anemia, it may be due to GIT bleeding, non-GIT blood loss, malabsorption, medicines that increase bleeding or increase phosphates and the phytates, which cause the chelation of the hemoglobin, and decrease of saturated transferrin, which helps in the HB transfer, and the decrease ascorbic acid, which result in decrease the absorption of the iron. Now, anemia in the chronic disease. In chronic disease, inflammatory cytokines increase that may lead to increase in the hepcidin. Hepcidin is a factor that decreases the iron availability and increase white blood cell production. Increase in the white blood cell production lead to the availability of the fewer stem cells for the red blood cell production, which may further decrease the red blood cell and the hemoglobin. Sideroblastic anemia may be due to decrease in the aminolevulinic acid synthase level, decrease in the pyridoxal phosphate, and some drugs such as isoniazid, chloramphenicol, linezolid, hydralazine may also lead toward the sideroblastic anemia. Alcohol and the copper deficiency may also cause the sideroblastic anemia. Now the megaloblastic anemia. Megaloblastic anemia may be due to the folate or the vitamin B12 deficiency, which lead to the inhibition of the DNA synthesis in the maturing cells. Hemolytic anemia may be due to the presence of autoantibodies, damage of the red blood cell membrane containing the HBS, polymerization of the HBS due to the deoxygenation of the blood, etc. Now the clinical manifestations. Anemia varies widely in its presentation for different anemia types. In general, it results in symptoms of tiredness, lethargy, exercise intolerance. Cerebral symptoms such as reduced cognition, confusion, headache, lightheadedness may also be present. In severe or long-lasting anemia, it can progress to further symptoms of oxygen deprivation such as shortness of breath, angina, tachycardia, palpitation, and the heart failure. Here you can see some symptoms, non-specific signs and symptoms associated with the anemia, pallor of the skin, and here some symptoms of anemia related to some specific organs such as respiratory shortness of breath, heart angina and the heart attack, digestion, change in the stool color, spleen enlargement, and the muscle pain, skin, yellowing of the skin, and specifically for brain, fainting, and the fatigue. Now we will move towards the investigation. Diagnosis of anemia require a thorough medical history and the holistic patient evaluation, noting that patient is taking any recent travel which could link with the hookworm, also liver disease, history, chronic renal failure, the other hematological histories should be taken to explain the laboratory test results and guide the diagnosis. The investigation into the cause of anemia began with the full CBC, where we see the HB, MCV, which is the mean corpuscular volume, and the MCH, which is the mean cell hemoglobin. Also, the stain blood film allow examination of the morphology of the red blood cell that give further evidence of the origin of the anemia, and also the types of anemia like macrocytic, microcytic, or the normocytic. Other hematological tests are vitamin B12, folate, ferritin, iron binding capacity, transferrin. Thyroid function test should also be checked because thyroxine is required for healthy bone marrow function. Ultimately, if the cause of anemia can't be elucidated from peripheral blood, a bone marrow aspiration or the biopsy may be required. Here is a full CBC report. You can see the values. Anemia diagnosis test. Now we will move towards the treatment. Treatment for anemia depends upon what causes it, such as for iron deficiency anemia, ferrous sulfate 325 mg per oral TID is given before 30 minutes of the meal. Also, add vitamin C in the therapy for the better results. In severe cases, parenteral iron therapy may be given. For megaloblastic anemia, folic acid 5 mg daily till deficiency is corrected, then 5 mg weekly for maintenance is given, and cyanocobalamin for vitamin B12 deficiency, 1 mg IM on the alternative days. Total 6 to 7 doses are given. Long-term maintenance is 1 mg every 3 months. Anemia of the chronic disease. For this, firstly, treatment of underlying disease is essential. And for treatment here, erythropoietin is given 12.5 to 250 units per kg subcutaneous of erythropoietin dose 3 times per week for rheumatoid arthritis associated anemia. Correct the iron deficiency. High IV iron dose is given to bypass the hepcidin-induced iron blockage. Now for sideroblastic anemia, supportive treatment is given. Investigate either copper or the folate deficiency and give the supplements. Here you should avoid the iron overload because in sideroblastic anemia there is no lack of the iron. Give pyridoxine 200 to 600 mg per oral daily. Here you can see some brands of folic acid, cyanocobalamin, etc. Now the hemolytic anemia. For autoimmune related steroids such as prednisolone 1 mg per kg per day is given, and the low dose of rituximab for difficult cases. Immunosuppressive drugs as azathioprine 150 mg per day become the third line after rituximab availability. If the treatment fails, splenectomy may be considered. For thalassemia related, red blood cell transfusion is the mainstay of the treatment, and splenectomy may be considered if the treatment fails. For sickle cell anemia like the thalassemia, red blood cell transfusion is the first, then hydroxyurea 10 to 30 mg per kg per oral daily, and dose titrated to maintain the white blood cell count 5,000 and 8,000 cells per microliter. Now, for glucose 6-phosphate deficiency, treatment consists of removal of the toxic agents, hydration to protect the kidney, and the transfusion of the blood. Patients should be advised to avoid the precipitating factors, drugs such as primaquine, 4-quinolones, nitrofurantoin, etc. Here are some brands for prednisolone and the azathioprine. Now, prevention. Prevention is important in this modern era, as we say in Urdu, परहेज इलाज से बेहतर है. So we will focus on this prevention to avoid anemia. Many types of anemia can't be prevented, but some anemic type may be prevented by eating healthy foods which help or which are enriched in iron and the vitamins. Foods to include in your diet include those with a high level of the iron, such as the beef, dark green leafy vegetables, dried fruits and the nuts, vitamin B12 containing such as the meat and the dairy products, and the folic acid is enriched in the citrus fruits, dark green leafy vegetables, legumes and the fortified cereals. A daily multivitamin will also help prevent the nutritional anemias. However, older adults should not take iron supplements for the iron deficiency anemia unless instructed by their physician. Now, the patient care. Counsel the patient on the GIT effects and the stool black color if on the iron therapy. Check the patient drug interactions. Check the patient HB level within the 2 to 3 weeks to check either the medicine that we are giving him is beneficial for him or not. If the patient is with the sideroblastic anemia, counsel that the iron may worsen their condition. Here are some references: Clinical Pharmacy and the Therapeutics, Roger Walker, Treatment Guidelines by Muhammad Anayatullah and the Shabir Ahmad Nasir, and the American Society of the Hematology Anemia. You can consult these references. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the session. Stay tuned, stay connected. Stay safe and stay happy. Allah Hafiz.